Good morning. Please be seated. Good morning again, graduates, family, guests, colleagues, and friends. My name is Ahmet Kara Mustafa. I am the chair of the Department of History. And on behalf of our department and Joseph and Rebecca Meyerhoff Program and Center for Jewish Studies, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to our combined 2025 graduation. We are pleased to have each of you here today as we mark the achievements of the class of 2025. Besides our graduates, one group is especially deserving of our praise and well wishes today: the parents. Many of whom made tremendous sacrifices to enable their loved ones to receive degrees in this ceremony. Today, for them, also marks the commencement of a new phase in their lives. So, let's have a big round of applause for all the parents in the audience. Before we get started, I want to get some rules out of the way. I would like to draw your attention to the fire exits at the front and rear of the chapel. Please use these exits in the event of an emergency. Please do not block the center aisle. If you need to take pictures, please do so from the side aisles. The restrooms are located on either side of the chapel, on this floor and upstairs. And there's one final rule, which is very important. In this ceremonial event, foot stomping, catcalling, hooting and hollering, whistling and the like will not be tolerated. Instead, they are highly encouraged, even an obligation. So, before we begin today's festivities, let's let the class of 2025 engage in a little celebratory shout-out. All right. I myself am primarily a historian of religion. And now I want to take just a few minutes to share with you a gem from my research world, which is made up of mostly textual materials from the medieval Eastern Mediterranean and Southwest Asia in Arabic, Persian, and Turkish. That gem is a prescription for human fulfillment and happiness, courtesy of the 13th century Persian thinker Azizi Nasafi. Nasafi lived in a time far more troubled than ours. His homeland in present-day Central Asia was devastated by the Mongol invasions of the 13th century, and order had disappeared from the lives of the inhabitants of these regions. Undeterred and on the runaway from the Mongols, Nasafi produced a vast body of prose works in most elegant Persian. He was an independent-minded thinker, a comparativist who distilled a unique worldview from the complicated intellectual worldviews of his time and implemented it in his own life. In a nutshell, Nasafi's own philosophy can be characterized as monism, which is the view that there is only one undivided being in existence, as expressed in the succinct statement, "All is one and one is all." Human beings, Nasafi tells us, constitute the highest and the perfect level of existence within this monist scheme. The special standing of human beings is due to their optimally composite nature. They alone are composed of all the components of the universe, and they thus form a cosmos reflecting mirror, or if you will, a microcosm. As Nasafi would have it, all humans constantly evolve from imperfection toward perfection, but only relatively a few achieve the level of maturity, and fewer still achieve the highest level of perfection, which is freedom. This is because many are barred from the higher levels by obstacles on the path, which Nasafi calls veils, such as the veils of fame, social status, and property, the veils of knowledge, piety, and worship, and the veil of narrow-minded individualism. These veils keep humans in bondage and prevent them from fulfilling their full potential. The free human being, on the other hand, is the individual who leaves behind all these veils and achieves the state of contentment, which is only possible through the realization that while each of us is on a journey toward human perfection, all our journeys are, in a real sense, interconnected and intertwined parts of a whole that is itself constantly evolving. It is for this reason that Nasafi asks us to live a humane life, always striving towards the realization that what makes us perfectly human is our ability to refrain from inflicting harm on others and instead to display compassion, tolerance, and courtesy to our fellow travelers in this world. This simple prescription is, in a nutshell, to take care not to harm others and strive hard to help and support our fellow human beings. My colleagues on the stage here today know that we have given you, graduates, many other lessons in what it means to be human. In your courses in American history, for instance, you have learned of the barbarity and inhumanity of the slave trade, but also of the humanity of those who came to oppose it. And you have been schooled in the atrocious realities of lynching and Jim Crow, but also of civil rights fighters who recognized these injustices and risked their lives to stop them. I might extend this list indefinitely to include the lessons of suffragettes, freedom fighters, educational reformers, social workers, and so on, and broaden the list out beyond American history to human history as a whole, as taught by my colleagues in the department and in Jewish studies. But by now, I hope my point is clear. We have equipped you to know what it is to act humanely in our interconnected world. It is now your duty to display the lifelong wisdom to do so. You will show honor to your parents and grandparents by never being complacent. Always believe that things can be made better, because they have been made better in the past. Arguably, our time is somewhat better than my hero Nasafi's, but the many positive changes that have occurred since then did not merely happen by themselves. They were the cumulative results of thousands who fought against injustices and sought to treat others humanely. It is in this vein that we, your faculty, have been making our contribution to this ongoing collective enterprise of working towards social justice and global equity through our scholarship, teaching, and professional service. In these trying times, for all of us on campuses across the nation, we stand firm on the principles of academic freedom and free speech, which form the bedrock of higher education locally and nationwide. I hope you too, our graduates, will rise to the same challenge of actively striving for human perfection and fulfilling your full potential as human beings in your own ways in the years to come. Congratulations to the class of 2025. Godspeed and good luck. It is now my pleasure to introduce our commencement student speaker, Claire O'Donnell. Claire is graduating with a United States Geographic concentration and a minor in rhetoric. She spent 3 years tutoring with the University of Maryland Writing Center, served as the treasurer of Forward Motion Dance Company, and was the editor of the Health and Environmental section for The Observer. During her time at UMD, she interned with both the Maryland General Assembly and the United States Senate. After graduation, Claire plans to travel and work within government and the nonprofit sector for her gap year as she prepares to apply to law school. I give you Claire O'Donnell.
Good morning, fellow graduates, faculty, family, and friends. Thank you, Dr. Holly Brewer, Jody Hill, and the rest of the History Department for providing me with the opportunity to speak today. Congratulations to the class of 2025. I am honored and grateful to stand here today to celebrate all that we have accomplished. My path to where I am today was a little more atypical. During the summer following my freshman year of college, I navigated a difficult transition from a small college across the country to transfer to the University of Maryland for my sophomore year. While nervous about starting life at a new school, I was also debating what I wanted to study. I knew I wanted to pursue the field of law and attend law school in the future. However, I did not know what I wanted to major in for the remainder of my undergraduate education. As I debated between history, political science, and sociology, I remember being told, major in history. The political sphere is constantly changing. What you study now will be incredibly different 30 years from now, but the past is concrete. Study the past. Taking a leap of faith on these words, having not taken a history class since junior year of high school, I enrolled in 3 history classes: medieval history, an upper-level course on the history of climate change science, and my 208 course, which is the beginning research course for history majors that we take around our sophomore year, on revolutions throughout history. Someone should have stopped me, because wow, did that range of classes challenge me. All of a sudden, I was writing 10-plus page papers on how Christianity influenced medieval life, how Cold War weapons research indirectly funded climate change science, and how Václav Havel's background as a playwright influenced his leadership within the Velvet Revolution in Czechoslovakia. I had never known so much about such specific things before in my life, and I had never engaged so directly with historical materials before. Although challenging, I began to fall in love with the field of history, with the research, the intense reading, writing, and ability to discover and analyze something that is understudied within our modern consensus. Between conducting intensive research on freedom suits in the Delaware state courts during the antebellum era for my independent study, spending countless hours studying for ID exams like many of you, memorizing the name and date of 50-plus civil rights court cases, beginning and finishing an entire book for my immigration seminar in one day each week for an entire semester, and yes, I should have spaced my time out a little bit better, and writing nearly 1,000 pages of historical analysis throughout the past 3 years, I'm so grateful to have been a history major at the University of Maryland. These courses taught me and us how to think critically, to examine and synthesize hundreds of pages of text in order to discover a new approach or perspective on a historical topic. Our abilities to analyze and creatively look for solutions or arguments are invaluable life skills. The attention to detail, focus, and ability to write and craft an argument that we have gained from our education here will serve all of us, no matter what future career path we pursue, to better engage with problems that require complex solutions. Reflecting now, I am so thankful to have transferred to the University of Maryland. Here, I found an incredible, welcoming environment, spent 3 years living with my best friends, and grew immensely as a person. However, as I look back on my past 3 years of study and all that I have learned, I now believe that the advice I was told about history was wrong. History is not concrete. Although the past cannot be changed, our interpretation of it is constantly changing and fiercely debated throughout both public and academic spaces. Historical research can allow us to understand the way that slavery was justified, or to uncover more about the history of those who have been marginalized throughout our past, uplifting the voices of those who have been oppressed. By re-examining historical methodologies through unconventional source analysis to focus on the perspectives of enslaved persons, minority communities, and women, we can highlight the stories of people who were disregarded and persecuted. This work is incredibly empowering. By uncovering more about the strength and resilience of those who have been silenced, we are able to acknowledge the truth of our past in order to advocate for social change. However, when misinterpreted or shielded, history can be used as a weapon for censorship and destruction. As the Smithsonian, the National Archives, and photographs of minority leaders within the military at the Pentagon face administrative control and severe restrictions, and as books that recognize different perspectives of our past continue to be banned in public schools and libraries, it is imperative that we use our knowledge of history to do good in the world. The truth of our history cannot be changed, but it can be concealed in order to push dangerous agendas in the present that depend upon particular narratives about our past. Propaganda, stemming from an intentionally misinterpreted public narrative of our history, can be used to alter and influence the minds of people to be complicit in injustice. As John Green stated in his book, Everything is Tuberculosis, nothing is so privileged as believing history belongs to the past. Therefore, we must be intentional in using history to create a better world today. Justice comes from recognizing the past. Our history is not just something that remains within academic textbooks. Rather, history continues to influence the systems of power that uphold our world. However you intend to use your history degree, whether as an educator, continuing to pursue graduate school, entering the field of law and politics, or completely elsewhere, remember that history has a power in the present. I urge you to advocate for social justice, using your knowledge of history to recognize and combat systems of oppression. Even if you never plan to visit an archive again to conduct formal research, I encourage you to continue to pay attention to the evidence being presented around us and contribute to our informal understanding of history. Ask your relatives, neighbors, peers, and strangers about their histories. Continue to read about the perspectives and lives of others and talk about our past, even if it makes you uncomfortable. By doing so, we can forge a stronger future. Thank you for your time, and congratulations once again to the class of 2025.
Thank you so much for that wonderful speech. I'm Dr. Holly Brewer. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Studies in the History Department, and I'm here to present the Undergraduate Awards. And I'm going to start with one that's not on this list because it's new this year. It's the first time we've given it in the department. It's the Lovell Senior Scholar Awards for distinguished and creative academic performance and for leadership and community involvement. And I would like to ask Kira Norris and Taylor Mason to come up to this podium. The next award is also going to multiple people at the same time because 3 students had a 4.0 GPA. It's the 2025 Shipleys of Maryland Award. And I would like to ask Eva Fisherman and Mason Yang and Orit Zaman to come to the stage, please. Certificate for you. Make sure to give the right one. The next award is the B. Marine Perenbaum Award for excellence in the history of Africa, East Asia, Latin America, or the Middle East. And this goes to Adele Amelie Maria Pastoral. The next award is the Jeannie Rutenberg Prize for excellence in undergraduate research and writing in European history in particular, and it goes to Orit Zimond. The final 2 awards are to students in the honors program, and the first one is the Eric T. Schwartz Prize, which is presented for the best honors paper during their junior year to James Schmidtlein. Do you want to give the final one? Okay. So the final award is the Hoosier Clio Award for the best honors thesis this year, which you're going to hear about all the rest of them shortly, and that goes to Holland Schmitz. Congratulations. And our next speaker is Dr. Claire Lyons, who's director of the honors program in history.
Good morning, and congratulations to all who have assembled for this wonderful occasion. It is my privilege to spend the day with you, and I'm particularly excited to be able to recognize the students who have achieved honors in history. These students participated in our honors program, which is a 2-year program of coursework and research and writing that culminates in their honors thesis. That thesis has got to be 50 to 100 pages long. Some of them exceeded that, and make an original contribution to historical scholarship. Needless to say, only the most intrepid take on this challenge, and the most dedicated complete it. We're going to recognize each of the students who have achieved honors, and I will announce the student's name. I would ask the student to stand, and then also I will say the advisor's name and ask them to stand. And then after I announce the title of the honors thesis, let's give them a big round of applause. All right. So our first honors graduate is Joshua Chow. His advisor is Professor Rob Childs. Stand up, Rob. And the thesis is entitled, The Public Descent into Anarchy, Reactions to the Republican Party Factionalism During the Progressive Era, 1901 to 1913. Next is Olivia Chickering, who isn't here because they are at their other graduation, but we can clap real quick for Olivia. Next honors graduate is Sylvia Cotton, and her advisor is Dr. Colleen Woods. Sylvia's thesis is entitled The White Man's Way, Navigating Race and Memory in the Federal Indian Boarding Schools. Next up is Abraham Fitch, whose advisor is Professor David Freund, and the thesis is entitled A Second Underground Railroad, ? The Southern Tenant Farmers Union's Wartime Transformation and the Radical Promise of Labor Migration. Our next honors graduate is Thomas Presswich, and his advisor is Professor David Cecilia. Tom's thesis, The Biggest Merger in Labor History, American Railroad Unions Consolidate to Survive, 1960 to 1980. Our next honors graduate is James Schmidlein, and his advisor is Professor Jeremy Simmons. James's thesis is entitled Christians in a Pagan World, Understanding the Construction of Early Christian Identity from a Pagan Past and Custom. Next up, our honors graduate is Holland Schmitz, and their advisor is Professor Rob Childs. Holland's thesis is entitled Shaping the Sapphic City, New York City Lesbianism and Lesbian Pulp Novels, 1945 to 1968. Next up, our honors graduate is Risa Wagner and her professor, Dr. Saverio Giavacchini. Risa's thesis, Shtick in the Sticks, I made it through that, Jewish Comedy, Community, and Survival in the Borscht Belt. And finally, last but not least, Mason Yang. I'd ask him to stand, and his advisor is also Professor Giavacchini. Mason's thesis is entitled Like a Million Exploding Suns, Marvel's Century in the First Wave Opioid Epidemic. I want to commend each and every one of the honors graduates for their perseverance and their intellectual curiosity, and say what a joy it's been to work with you these last 2 years, and wish you well in the future. Congratulations to all.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Quincy Mills, and I am the Director of Graduate Studies in the Department of History. It is my honor and pleasure to be here with you, and I have the honor and indeed the pleasure of granting the degrees for both doctoral and master's students in the Department of History. We will begin with the granting of degrees for doctoral students. And part of this process will be a hooding ceremony. The hooding ceremony symbolizes the culmination of graduate studies and the degree recipient's transition from student to colleague. Faculty advisors, the faculty advisor places the doctoral hood, which is this lovely thing here, over the head of the graduate, signifying their success in completing the graduate program. And family and friends, I'm sure that you have asked your loved one, are you done yet? That might have been an annoying question to them, but I promise you, they also recognize it was a sign of love. And so I'm sure that I convey that love that indeed they have received from you and certainly all of their colleagues and friends. I'm just being sure that folks are ready here. I don't see, are we good? We are good. The first candidate is not here, but I will certainly say his name. Shaban, sorry, 1 second. This is not Shaban, but you can stay. Shaban Aguilar, whose advisor is Dr. Ahmed Kara Mustafa, who we have here to my left. Evan Roberts Ash, whose advisor is Dr. Severio Giovacchini, who will make his way to the podium to read a very brief blurb. My colleagues, when they do read, will not ad-lib, because that adds time, but they have prepared remarks. Evan's dissertation title is The Eye is the Window for the Soul, New Perspectives on the American Anti-Comics Movement.
Thank you, Quincy. All right, how are we doing? So, Dr. Ash's dissertation, entitled The Eye is the Window for the Soul, focuses on an important aspect of American vernacular art, the comic book, grosso modo from the late 1940s to the late 1950s. In a series of thought-provoking and innovative essays, Evan convincingly demonstrates how the comic book debate had broad implications and should not be reduced to the work and utterances of a single figure, German-American psychiatrist Frederick Wertham. In fact, Evan's work successfully connects the 1950s debate about the artistic value of comic books with broader cultural and societal issues, particularly the potential replacement of a culture rooted in the written word by one increasingly dominated by visual communication and imagery, what W.J.T. Mitchell has famously theorized as the icon. Evan's dissertation also deftly explores the contributions of major intellectuals involved in the comic book debate and analyzes how iconophobia shaped their thinking. His work offers a much-needed rethinking of a truly significant episode in historical Americana. Congratulations, Evan.
Bryce Bowery, whose advisor, Dr. David Cecilia, dissertation titled Doctor's Domain, Innovation and Regulation in the U.S. Medical Device Industry from 1950 to 2000.
Today, millions of Americans rely on medical devices such as cardiovascular implants and artificial joints. Probably some of you here in the audience today. Although the use of medical devices long predates recorded history, think of a carved stick used as a crutch, the modern post-World War II industry in the United States, with its electronics and advanced composite materials, is large and growing rapidly, now generating more than $100 billion in revenues per year. Until now, no one has written its history. Bryce Bowery's nuanced and deeply researched dissertation focuses on innovation and regulation in the rise of the modern U.S. medical device industry during the second half of the 20th century. He argues that physician tinkerers leverage their unique expertise and prestige to become the central actors, more so even than biomedical engineers and government officials, in the development, commercialization, and even regulation of medical devices. His study makes major contributions to modern U.S. business, science, technology, and medical history.
Diego Torres, whose advisor is Dr. Karen Rosenblatt, who unfortunately could not be here, so I will do the hooding. And his dissertation is titled The Economics Discipline and Profession and U.S. Power in Chile, 1930s to 1990s. When COVID hit in 2020, Diego had to quickly reorient his dissertation research. He did so with fortitude and aplomb, and the abilities of a true archive rat. One that we love, though. Diego landed on a dissertation that explored the transnational development of the economics profession in Chile. The dissertation tracks the U.S. economists who helped shape new economics degrees in Chile and important Chilean economists and politicians who studied in the United States from the 1930s to the 1990s. Diego rejects the view that U.S. influence was limited to the introduction of neoliberalism during the dictatorship of Pinochet from 1973 to 1990. Instead, he shows the wide variety of economics training that U.S. and exiled economists taught Chileans in Chile and in the United States. But even more important, Diego shows how Chilean economists adapted and reshaped the ideas coming from the global north. Chaya Rivka Marin. Dissertation advisor, Dr. Bernard Cooperman. The title, A Rabbi in Letters, the multi-genre writings of Rabbi Samuel Aboab and the Early Modern Mediterranean.
It is my very great pleasure to present to you Ms. Chaya Maron and her excellent doctoral dissertation a study of a rabbi in letters, the multi-genre writings of Rabbi Samuel Aboab and the early modern Mediterranean. Maran has broken new ground in her study. First, she constructed a very different biography of this influential scholar and rabbinic authority than the one assigned to him by tradition. She has highlighted his origins in the world of the Portuguese conversos, who in the late 16th century migrated from Portugal, where they had lived as Christians, to various European commercial centers and returned to their Jewish identities. Maran has gone beyond the usual approaches to emphasize the extraordinary creativity of these people in constructing their Jewish communities. She notes the extensive epistolary, I love that word, epistolary network, to which, it means letters, yeah, to which Aboab belonged, and shows how he claimed authority in Italy and in Ottoman Palestine. Crucially, she explains how Aboab defined an expanded role for rabbis in the growing lay-led Jewish communities of his day.
Nicholas Jerome Misukanis, whose advisor is Dr. Jeffrey Hirth, dissertation title, The Nuclear Option, Politics of the Past, West German Energy Policy, and the Quest for Energy Independence from 1973 to 1982.
Good morning, I'm Jeffrey Hirth. I had the privilege of advising Nicholas's fine dissertation. The Nuclear Option, Politics of the Past, West German Energy Policy, and the Quest for Energy Independence, 1973 to 1986. The dissertation examines the extensive but ultimately unsuccessful efforts of the West German Chancellor, Helmut Schmidt, and engineers and scientists with expertise in nuclear matters to make the case for safe and reliable nuclear energy. While scholarship on the anti-nuclear protests is considerable, Misukanis' dissertation offers a much-needed, careful examination of the West German government's efforts to make a complex case and an unpopular case to a broad public. Today, as nuclear power is receiving renewed attention as a source of energy that does not emit carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, Misukanis' examination of the debates of the 1970s in West Germany should be of interest both for historians and for those concerned about the issue of climate change today. Congratulations, Nicholas.
Jane Paulson, advisor, Dr. Michael Ross, dissertation title, The Supreme Court Precipitated the Affair, Lynching in Maryland, Jury Discrimination, and the Supreme Court.
Jane Paulson's dissertation investigates a wave of lynchings in central Maryland in the mid-1880s, linking them to white backlash against the emerging legal gains for African Americans. She argues that U.S. Supreme Court rulings requiring due process for black defendants, along with the rising legal activism in Baltimore's black community, provoked fear that justice reforms might shield black defendants from punishment. Central to this story was Reverend Harvey Johnson and Baltimore's Brotherhood of Liberty, who fought discriminatory laws and worked with white allies to elect judges supportive of civil rights. These judges opened courts to legal arguments based on the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. Paulson contends that the progress made in Baltimore and at the Supreme Court and shifts in the legal landscape alarmed white residents in surrounding counties, contributing to a series of lynchings, including the notorious case of Howard Cooper, as a violent reaction to the changing balance of legal and political power.
Kyle Pruitt, advisor, Dr. Julie Green, dissertation title, Possessing a Nation, Capitalism, Labor, and the Building of the U.S. Gatekeeping State, 1865 to 1924.
Hello, everybody. I am honored to be here to celebrate Kyle L. Pruitt's brilliant dissertation. U.S. policy shifted away from quite open immigration during the 5 critical decades Kyle examines to a highly restrictionist and racial system that excluded most of the world's population. Possessing a Nation argues, as Kyle puts it, that, quote, the closing of the nation's borders went hand in hand with the invention by labor leaders, rank-and-file workers, and their allies of a protected national economic order which privileged the position of white workers within a global labor and racial hierarchy and necessitated permanent federal protection, end quote. This is a complex and beautifully written dissertation that not only reshapes our understanding of immigration policy at the turn of the 20th century, but holds very real significance for untangling the difficult immigration policy problems in our contemporary world. Congratulations, Dr. Pruitt.
Mauricio Restrepo, whose advisor is Dr. Alejandro Queneque, dissertation title, Government by Charity, the Emergence of the Early Modern Hospital in the Hispanic World.
Good morning. Mauricio's dissertation examines the creation of hospitals in Spain and Spanish America during the 16th and 17th centuries, tracing their development through laws, intellectual debates, reform proposals, and case studies. He argues that, contrary to common assumptions, hospitals in the early modern Hispanic world were not created in response to economic crisis or as institutions of social discipline. They were not modern institutions in the making. Their primary function was to enable the faithful to perform acts of charity prescribed by the Gospels, especially welcoming pilgrims, feeding the hungry, and sheltering the poor. Healing the sick was also included among these charitable tasks, but it was not the defining purpose of these institutions. The dissertation also shows how hospitals played a key role in the territorial expansion of the Castilian monarchy throughout the Middle Ages and the early modern period in both Spain and Spanish America. Mauricio contends that the monarchy used hospital reform as a tool of political influence and territorial consolidation. Hospitals were never merely institutions of care. They also functioned as instruments of royal patronage. Congratulations, Mauricio.
next graduate in your program is in the program is not here, but I'll just briefly say his name, Brian Sarginger, whose advisor is David Cecilia. Who we have next, though, is Jordan Sly. Advisor, Dr. Stefano Villani, who's not present, but my colleague, Dr. Holly Brewer, will hood Jordan. I will read the title is Protector of the Reformed, Oliver Cromwell's Religio-Political Motives and the Development of Protectorate Ideology. Wrong one. Dr. Jordan Scott Sly's remarkable dissertation is a groundbreaking study of the religio-political foundations of Oliver Cromwell's Protectorate, examining the English response to the 1655 massacre of the Waldenists, Calvinists in the Italian valleys of Piedmont who traced their lineage to the medieval heresy of Waldo. The dissertation shows how the crisis became a proving ground for Cromwellian ideology. Cromwell emerged not only as a national ruler, but as a protector of Protestantism across Europe, and how this vision took shape through diplomatic missions, public funding, and appeals to England's Elizabethan past. The dissertation argues that the office of Lord Protector was more than a constitutional experiment. It became a platform for advancing Protestant internationalism and laid the groundwork for imperial ambitions in the Atlantic world. Sly's work offers a striking perspective on how ideology and religious identity shaped English ideas and practices of sovereignty, diplomacy, and empire in the 7th century. Cotter Smale, whose advisor is Dr. Antoine Barut, dissertation title, Constructing Mecca's Sanctity, Scholars, Caliphs, and the Making of a Sacred Center.
Okay, the unofficial title of the dissertation is Make Mecca Great Again. Dr. Smale's dissertation challenges one of the most fundamental assumptions of Islamic scholars. The sanctity of Mecca has long been taken for granted, particularly given the documented pre-Islamic pilgrimage there. However, Dr. Smale revealed that Mecca's sanctity was actively constructed in early Islam by various actors. By focusing on neglected sources, he illuminates the forgotten links between Mecca and Yemen, hence redeeming a long-buried South Arabian memory. He also exposes a tension between scholarly and caliphal discourses, highlighting the intense competition for religious authority in early Islam. This competition was not limited to the textual realm. It also involved competing for control over sacred space. Thus, owning the sacred land and constructing a sacred urban center emerge as central strategies, together with devotional residence near the Kaaba sanctuary. Through his work, Dr. Smale therefore reveals the intricate relationship between memory, power, and space in the making of Islam's holiest center.
Okay, next we will move to the, yes, you can give a full. I'm sure that we all learned something from even those brief blurbs, and certainly be on the lookout for those books. Dissertations that get revised to books. Next, we will confer degrees for our master's students. We have 2 students who received their master's degree by examination. I don't believe either of them are here. So we will move forward with, as soon as they give them a space to time to arrive, a Master's of Arts degree by thesis. Grace Marie Batty, advisor Dr. Claire Lyons, thesis titled Expanding the Boundaries of the Anti-Slavery Network, the Abolitionist Women of Antebellum, Iowa. Jianqing Bi, advisor Dr. Ting Zhang, thesis title Re-Examine the Origin of the Fall of Qing Dynasty Prior to the First Opium War. Eleanor Elizabeth Drummond, advisor Dr. Thomas Zeller, thesis titled Mind Blown, U.S. Intelligence Agency Research into Mind Control and the Psychic Abilities, 1952 to 1995. Emily Irvine, advisor Dr. Thomas Zeller, thesis titled Expert Opposition, the Role of Scientists in the Development of the Calvert Cliffs Nuclear Power Plant. Bridget Louise Jameson, advisor Dr. Severio Giovacchini, thesis titled In This U Street Vicinity, Building a Cultural Center in Washington, D.C., 1903 to 1912. No, it's okay. I was just making sure you were there. Alexandra Brooke Cottis, advisor, Dr. Julie Taddeo, thesis titled Reading Between the Rungs, Japanese Acrobats in Victorian Britain, 1867 to 1885. Andy Lazarus, advisor Dr. Zachary Dorner, thesis titled A Covert Script, the AMA's Fight Against Racial Inclusion in U.S. Healthcare. Alexander Militich, advisor Dr. Michael Ross, thesis titled The Wheels on the Bus Fell Off, the Rise and Fall of Court-Ordered Busing in Prince George's County, Maryland. Rigby Elizabeth Phillips, advisor Dr. Claire Lyons, thesis titled Spiritual Equality, Social Hierarchy, Gender and the Construction of Quaker Identity in the Early Anglo-American World. And it looks like that is it, and that's it for me. So thank you all, congratulations. Next, we will have Dr. Holly Brewer, Director of Undergraduate Studies, who will grant the degrees to our undergraduates.
Okay. Is it working now? Okay, yeah. It just somehow had to shake it. Okay. Tell me how you say your name? Armstrong is the first name? Okay. Armstrong Addy. Lindsay Suzanne Allen. Sean Aman. Donna Bosworth. Rashana Brinkley. Joshua Burton. Alyssa Caruso. Joshua Christian Chow. Amy Ray Christopherson. Sylvia Cotton. Edward Cox. Paul Crumrine. Andrew Cullen. Catherine de la Cruz Garcia. Tara Nicole Durst. Camille Array Alua Babi. Eva Martine Fisherman. Abraham Joel Fitch. Rachel Fredman. Samuel Golumbach. John Vincent Heckman. Stephanie D. Kolagrivov. Gabriela Linares. Jake Lemming. Andre McGowan. Benjamin Moronto. Taylor June Mason. Aiden McCardle. Charlotte McNulty. Grace Milky. Francine Monghay. Arav Naveen. Kira Elizabeth Norris. Oliver Otto. Adele Pastoral. Samuel Perkins Cohen. Thomas Presswich. Liam Reagan. James Schmidtline. Holland Schmitz. Jack Thomas Shammy. Peter Smith. Jacob Stern. Brooke Timmons. Stacy Torres. Risa Wagner. Delicia Williams. Mason Yang. Anastasia Yeager. And finally, Arit Zimand. Many congratulations to the class of 2025. There's one more. He forgot to get in line. Claire O'Donnell.
Thank you very much for your patience. I'm Professor Max Grossman. I'm the director of the Joseph and Rebecca Meyerhoff Program and Center for Jewish Studies, a small but mighty part of the university, and we are delighted that you're sticking with us through the rest of this graduation. Oh, thank you. I'm delighted to announce the completion of Nadav Levy's master's degree with thesis on the topic Diachronic Development of Kinship Terminology in Pre- and Post-Exilic Biblical Texts. Nadav's advisors were Matthew Soriano and me, and we are incredibly proud. Sarah Elizabeth Stambler is not here, but I understand she is watching on the live stream. Congratulations, Sarah. We are very happy for you. I'm also very happy to announce a second Jewish Studies major, Risa Wagner. And graduating with a major in religions of the ancient Middle East, Hayden Amory Farber. Thank you all very much.
This brings our program to its conclusion. Let's give a big round of applause to all our graduates. There is one final bit of ritual involved, which is that of moving the tassels on your caps from the side that it's on to the side that it's not on. Did I do that? Please do that right now. It's incredible how one little tassel and where it sits makes such a big difference. But here we are. All right, I think we're going to just leave the same way we came in. Guests, please wait until the faculty and all our graduates exit first, and then you're free to leave afterwards. Have a great day, the great rest of the day, and looking forward to seeing our graduates when they visit us in the department in the future. Bye.